And just like that, we are back with another episode of Unmuted. I am Felicia Franklin, your host, your moderator, your favorite social butterfly, whatever it is you want to call me. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Unmuted, Season 3, Episode number 7. All right, so this is another episode of another series, a part of the Black Men Thrive series. So we are on episode number 7. Tonight we do have a special guest, educator, and our favorite math teacher, Mr. Arnold Stringer III. But before we get into all of the logistics and get into the show, with this series, I like to do a couple of different things. Let's talk about. So I like to bring something local, something state, and something national. All right, so one of our local topics for tonight is, I talked about this before a few weeks back, maybe 3 weeks back. I wanted to congratulate the Montgomery Catholic football team. Well, this past Friday, the Montgomery Catholic football team, they played Montgomery Academy, which they are crosstown rivalries. They played Montgomery Academy football team round 4 of the playoffs. Unfortunately, Montgomery Catholic, they did not advance this year to the championship. So I want to send much love to the Montgomery Catholic football team on a great season. They were undefeated going into round 4. It was high hopes on Friday night's game. There are several boys. I have other children, Jamarian Augustus, Javen Augustus, Jordan Thomas. Let's see, we have TJ Bull Dudley. It's several, Ethan Benz, Dylan Tyisma. I want to say a major shout out, Patrick Ryan, major shout out to all of those boys, especially the senior boys, on a great season, a job well done. I know your hearts are hurting right now, but pick your heads up. You had a great season. You played some great football, and we love you, we support you, and we are behind you. Congratulations to all of our seniors. We still push forward. Keep your heads up. So that's our local thing for tonight. Now, statewide. So for the state, oh my God. So this past Saturday, yesterday, was the 2021 Iron Bowl. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this was 86, the 86th Iron Bowl, which was the first Iron Bowl to ever go into overtime. And they went into 4 overtimes. Congratulations to the University of Alabama. Now, let me put a caveat right here, disclaimer, my piece, or whatever. I am neutral when it comes to Alabama and Auburn. Congratulations to Alabama for winning. Congratulations to Auburn for the hard work and making them go into 4 overtimes. Congratulations to both teams, because you both represent the state of Alabama. My son just peeked his head around the corner because he is an Alabama fan. No, sir. So, but congratulations to the University of Alabama on a 24-22 win in 4 overtimes. You all made history. Congratulations also to Auburn on doing your thing. All right, so that's local, that's state, and let's talk about something national, which I know y'all probably probably tired of hearing about this. But people, I want you to be advised on this past week, and actually an update came out today. There is another COVID variant. Yeah, some of you all do not want to hear that, but this thing is real. So I would be remiss to put it out there. This variant started in some part of, I think it's South Africa. They're not sure, but they think it may already be in the United States. It's supposed to be 30 times more. I'm not sure the terminology for that, but it's supposed to be a lot stronger than the Delta variant was. So let's just be mindful. Let's everyone please be mindful. Let's be careful. Let's be safe. Your beliefs are your beliefs. How you feel is how you feel. But let's just be safe for our friends, our loved ones, for ourselves. So, congratulations to the Montgomery Catholic and the Montgomery Academy football teams. Montgomery Academy for progressing forward to Montgomery Catholic. My son attends Montgomery Catholic. Congratulations to that football team on a job well done for their entire season. Major shout out to all of our seniors. Also, on the state side, Alabama and Auburn, congratulations to the University of Alabama on a 24-22 win in the fourth overtime against Auburn. And congratulations to Auburn also for making them work for that 24-22 win. And hey, nationally, on the national side, let's just be safe. Let's just be mindful and take care of ourselves with this COVID variant. We're not out of the clear yet, but let's all do our part to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. All right. So now with the let's move a little further into the show. I want to get into Unmuted. If you have never watched Unmuted before, if this is your first episode, I thank you. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for catching it with us. If you've watched every episode, if this is not your first time, if you've been rocking it with us from season 1 and season 2, I thank you. I appreciate you for rocking with us this in its entirety, all the way up to season 3. I appreciate all of the love and the support. So, for those of you that do not know what Unmuted is or where Unmuted came from, if it's new to you, Unmuted is something that I had on my mind for several years. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to talk about something, but it didn't have a name, and I wasn't quite sure because I was muted. I had gone through several things in my life that I felt that I could not get over, that I could not get through. Certain things in my life that muted me. And I like to call those things life relationships. Life happens to us all, and it's how you get on the other side of it. I will often pray and ask God, why me? Why me? Why me? Why did I have to be the one to go through the divorce? Why did I have to be the one to be adopted? Why did I have to go through the loss and everything? Anything that I had gone through that was traumatizing in my life, I would often ask God, why me? And when I got my answer, I stopped asking why me and I started saying, why not me? See, at one point, I realized that it wasn't meant for me to sit silent on the things that I had gone through and grown through, because the very things that I had gone through in my life and the very things that I had grown through, it was meant for me to help someone else through. If many of you, if any of you know me, you know one of the main things that I do is I'm a suicide prevention educator, suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention educator. And I realized in my educating other people and training other people, some of the situations that a lot of people had dealt with in their lives, I had dealt with also. But some of those people had not made it through the things that I was graced to make it through and that I was graced to have gone through. And I realized it wasn't meant for me to sit silent on things that I had gone through in my life. It was meant for me to help others through and pull others through the very same thing. And that's Unmuted. Some of the topics that we talk about on Unmuted are not all about me. They're about other people. Sometimes those individuals aren't comfortable enough to bring it to the forefront and they give me permission to talk about and tell their stories. Some of those individuals actually come on as guests and they tell their stories, and I just facilitate it, give them a safe place to talk about those things. And that's what it is all about. It's about being open, being real, and being transparent enough. We're unmuting ourselves to help someone else do the same thing. So, without further ado, I present to some and introduce to others Unmuted. Thank you again for tuning in. This is season 3. This is episode number 7. And this is the Black Man Thrive series. So, what is the Black Man Thrive series? The Black Man Thrive series is something that I was thinking about, and I've really been passionate about it, with not saying that any other culture can't thrive or any other ethnicity can't thrive, but we're specifically talking about the Black man on this particular series, in the midst of the George Floyds, in the midst of the Trayvon Martins, in the midst of the Ahmaud Arbery's, in the midst of everything that is going on in our culture and the perception of the Black man. I thought it would be a good thing to bring other Black men on to talk to other Black men about being a black man and thriving, being transparent and talking about the things that went through in your past, that the things that got you stuck, the things that muted you, and show that other men have gone through the very same thing, and it's not meant for you to stay in a stuck state or an unmuted state. So sometimes hearing it from someone else, there are several conferences and shows and lives and everything dedicated to the woman. And I'm all for, I'm a black woman, I'm a woman, so I am pro woman. But right now, we need to uplift our black men. We need to let our younger generation know that we've done this, we've been there, and we're being real enough to disclose that information to you, but to let you know there is another way. And even the generation that we're in the now, our generation, we have so many men that are stuck because of whatever life happened or whatever life felt dealt them. Sometimes you get stuck in that situation, but seeing someone that looks like you, that has gone through the very same things or something similar that you've gone through, and they were able to get through it, get over it, and come out of it, maybe that's what you need. So I'm just here giving a platform to different black men to tell their story to help other black men and a younger generation that's coming behind them. So that is Black Men Thrive. So now I want to get into our first, my guest on tonight, which is our seventh guest. And he should have been my first guest. I'm throwing a little shade right there. He should have been my first guest, but life happens to us all. So we have to do what we have to do. And now we have him on tonight. He is our favorite math teacher. He is an educator. He is a math teacher at Montgomery Catholic Preparatory High School. He also, I think he teaches, I'm not sure, I think he still teaches at Trenum. He is a tutor. He does ACT test prep. He has his own tutoring service going on the side. So if your children need some tutoring, even if you just want them to have tutoring to make sure those grades stay up, he is the man to call, trust, and believe. I know, because my son go to him too. We make sure them grades stand up. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others Mr. Arnold Stringer III. Now, I believe that no one can talk about you better than you can talk about you, because you know you better than anybody else know you. So I'm going to let him expound on his bio and tell you more about himself than the brief little bio that I did. Hey.
Well, good evening, young lady. How we doing tonight?
We are doing great. How are you?
I'm blessed.
That is good. Well, thank you for being my guest. Thank you for your yes.
But of course,
All right. So before we get started fully, I want you to tell the people about yourself. Who is Arnold Stringer III?
wow. Well, that's a loaded question. I would like to consider myself a mixed bag of a lot of different things. Um, Life experience, humility, intelligence, drip, as my students like to say, and laughter. Born and raised here in Montgomery, Alabama. I was raised on the west side of Montgomery, Alabama. I lived there my whole life. I've never lived anywhere else. And then I moved to the north side of Montgomery, Alabama. And those Montgomeryans know that the west side and the north sides are the special sides to our lovely city here. Went to Robert E. Lee High School. Graduated from Alabama State University, AS. And I've seen a lot of different things in my few years here. Alabama is not too different than any other place in the world. We have our positive and our negatives, and I just consider myself one of the people who wants to see Montgomery grow and not just run to a different city. Nothing against Atlanta, but I'd rather see some of that positive flourish here in the city. But I'm an open book. I definitely appreciate the chance to kind of come out tonight and speak, especially in the topic of Black Men Thrive. And before I go any further, I too would like to, extend my congratulations to the Montgomery Catholic football team. I love all of those guys. Congratulations to Montgomery Academy as well for a great season, and good luck in the championship game. But my students are more than my students to me. They're a part of my everyday life, and I love them, all of them. And I wish them nothing but the best, and I'm super proud to be associated with them and to stand right behind them and beside them or in front of them if I need to lead. But yeah, I am a unique assortment of a lot of different things, and hopefully tonight we can kind of go into some of those things and view and see how this black man may have been able to thrive, because my goal is to thrive and to help others thrive as well. So again, I thank you for having me tonight, because all thrives matter.
All thrives matter. Absolutely. I like that. I like that. All right. So now that we've done introductions and you've told us a little bit about yourself, so I want to jump right in. I want to jump right into the topic. I'm very glad you mentioned that you are a graduate of Alabama State University, HBCU, hometown. You grew up here. You are all things Montgomery. You raised on the west side, moved to the north side, so you know Montgomery. You are Montgomery. And to be a teacher here in Montgomery, not just in the private school sector, but you've made your way around. So I want to go back to move forward. And we talked about a little of this via text message, however transparent you would like to be, because I want to get to the heart of I want to touch the hearts of a lot of our youth, and I want to touch the hearts of other young men that are, even our generation, because Montgomery, because you are Montgomery. Um, you didn't have, with I'll say, with growing up in Montgomery, the struggle. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'll first say that as a younger man, I found myself embarrassed, I guess, of sorts, and not too comfortable being able to kind of talk about those things that I kind of went through. I felt like I would be judged, and I was concerned about how people would kind of view me, kind of based on things that I had no control over. But as I got older, I realized that it was those things that kind of shaped me to kind of become the guy who I try to be every day. I had a modest upbringing. I would say maybe around the age of 7. We had some issues within my family with my mother and my father. And by some stretch of the way, I found myself homeless at 7. And I was a very smart guy in terms of being quick on my feet. I've always been very well spoken. I knew how to, speak to people and maybe get things that I needed to kind of survive. For about a year and a half, I slept under a bridge. And when I share this story with people, they ask me, well, how did you sleep under the bridge? And crazy thing is that when cars pass over the gaps that the bridge makes, it makes a sound. And I became accustomed to that soothing sound. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a lullaby. So from about the age of 7 to about 9, I was homeless per se. And let me see if I can be a little bit more frank. There were places where I could have been, group homes and foster homes and whatnot. I just wasn't the biggest fan of those. Mm-hmm. So when I was forced to kind of stay there, I ran and I hit the streets. I think about my students now who wear uniforms every day. And I was almost to a point where I had to wear a uniform every day because I had the same pair of jeans and 2 shirts that I wore just about every day. Did kids pick on me in school? They did. Was I embarrassed to go to school knowing I wore the same pants? I was. Was I hungry some days because I didn't have enough for lunch? I was. But at the same time, I can't really recall a time where that made me want to not go to school or I didn't want to do my work in class. I never really understood it then. But as I got older, I realized that maybe God had something different for me. So fast forward 7 to 9, I kind of recompiled with my family. We all kind of got back together, went under the bridge. A lot of times in a Black household, when tragedy hits, we don't necessarily talk about it. We just watch good times and kind of move on. And right. So that was kind of what the process was. myself and my siblings, everybody kind of dealt with it in their own way. But still, you can see it resonating to this day, not being able to kind of confront your issues then. You can't get
Mm-hmm.
away from them. They kind of just kind of follow you the entire time. I had to grow up a lot in those 3 or 4 years. So when my parents did come back, I was grateful to have them, but I had already in my mind made up who I thought I was and how I should conduct myself. And um, I used the term wise guy very loosely, but I had to be able to move in different circles to kind of get what I needed when I needed it and whatnot. So 14, 15, still in school. Went to a lot of different schools. I know my elementary years, I probably went to 22 schools. I would, I've gone everywhere. So if there's anybody who knows me, you may know me from Fuse Elementary or Carver or Vaughn Road, Hainville Road. So I've been around. Went to Carver Middle School and Goodwin, and I graduated from Robert Lee. I always tried to do my work. And in high school, I did fairly decent on the ACT. So I had a lot of different scholarship offers. I think I had maybe 34 to be exact across the nation. So I had my pick and choosing of where I wanted to go. But my senior year in high school, my mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And she did not share with the rest of the family. She kind of pulled me in the bathroom one day and she kind of shared that with me. And it was about a week or two before I decided where I wanted to go. So obviously, me having this kind of weighing on me, I decided, well, I don't want to go away because if I go away and something happens to her, I'm going to feel responsible for it. And so I decided to go to ASU. And I will say initially, I was like a lot of students or young people today. I just thought ASU was just local. It's just going to be a whole bunch of people from JD, Carver, and Lanier just walking around, the same people I see at Crampton Bowl and whatnot. But I'll be honest, when I first got there, I never thought that I would meet so many great people from so many different places. So I saw people there from California, from the Virgin Islands, from Jamaica. And my first question was, what do you know about Alabama State? You from Jamaica. What are you doing here? But it didn't strike me that people where they were from wanted to get away where they were from and have a different experience. And so Alabama State was that place. I got an excellent education. The staff and the faculty there, they were awesome. They took me under their wing. I did not know this, but I was a math major, a political science major, and a biology minor. And my father had the exact same double major and minor, and I had no idea about it. But I ran into one of his colleagues there, and he kind of shared that with me. So I thought that was kind of crazy. But I finished, and it really meant a lot to me because ASU over the years has grown tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember my time there. I think they maybe had 9 buildings on the entire campus. And now with the addition of the stadium and increased faculty, it's really a remarkable place. And I know that these days it's all about the show. You know what I mean? If you're from Montgomery, then it doesn't look good to kind of go to Alabama State. Alabama State is a quality for your institution. And I'm not just saying that because I went there, but because I have some very close dealings over there. And I think that it's an awesome place.
And I wanna let's stop there and let's talk a little bit about that, because you're a teacher, you are an educator, and you help prepare students for the next level. But I want to mention a couple. So one of my followers is watching, Felicia Jackson. Hey Felicia, thank you for tuning in again. She said good choice, ASU. She's an ASU graduate.
Hey, yes.
We have a couple of comments from a few people, and one of them mentioned the sequel of your life made you stronger and independent to prepare you for a journey God had and has for you. And I completely agree with that, because of the things that we go through, they make us, they shape us. So now I wanted to put those comments out because I like to interact with our guests. I like our guests to interact with the followers, with the commenter, people that are commenting and whatnot, because this is a conversation. So I don't.
Definitely.
I want to make sure we include the things and the dialogue that they're bringing as well. Now, you mentioned that ASU being a quality school. Well, I want to talk about that because we had a conversation prior to the show getting started. You know, there are. Let's talk about college and athletes because you are, you know, you're in a position that you can help prepare our youth going into the next level. And we have there are several students in the city, not just at Montgomery Catholic or whatever. There are several students in the city that has that same mindset that you had. You could have gone anywhere you wanted to go. Now life happened and that was your choice why you chose to go to ASU. But we have so many other, you know, students even right now. We have athletes, you know, they're looking at the Big Ten schools and the this, and they're looking at everything else. And they want to play at the next level. And a lot of the times, more oftentimes than not, they overlook home because they just look at it as being home.
Hmm.
Not what the college has to offer, but because it's right there and they want to go off. Even if going off to another school, they may not get the quality education or the same education. They may not get all of the benefits because there may be scholarship opportunities. And then they're looking at they want to play for a certain school. And sometimes they may get to another school and choose another route and may not even touch the field. I mean, but again, we talked about that. May not touch the field, may not touch the basketball court, may not, you know, they may not get that opportunity because of the the amount of students that are at these big colleges that have been recruited to get to those same big colleges. And they're overlooking something right here that could be prevalent and relevant to them. You know, what would
Definitely,
you say?
definitely. I would say, well, first thing is you need to have a plan on deciding at least the steps that you want to have towards your future. And when it comes to athletic, you have to ask yourself one simple question. Do you want to be on the team or do you want to play the sport? Because those things are not necessarily the same thing. Because you can be on the team, but in terms of you actually playing, sometimes athletes are brought in just to kind of fill out the roster. And the only times they really get a chance to play is on Xbox. And we would hope that with some of the outstanding talent that we have in the city throughout all of our local high schools, that they would actually get a chance. So the first thing I would say is to make sure you have a plan. The second thing is I think in today's culture and climate, the biggest thing is about exposure. And I can kind of speak to when I was in school because I played very briefly at Alabama State, defensive end, you know, number 78. I did a little something, you know, back in the day before I blew my knee
Okay,
out.
okay.
But I think that in my time, my thing was, and I really never had any true aspirations to try to play on a professional level. But my thought process was that if I did, nobody would see me here at Alabama State. And we can just look at the recent history of the HBCUs in general and how there's a push to kind of give them a little bit more spotlight. Most notably, Deion Sanders being the coach at Jackson State. They
Right.
are a good school, but the amount of money that he's helped kind of bring in just because he sees a need for us to kind of value those schools is
Mm-hmm.
even better. Master P, his son, had his choice to go to any Division I school in the country.
He
But he
did.
decided to go to an HBCU because he felt like some spotlight needed to be kind of shined down on that. And I would say that in terms of facilities and education and the access to your family, sure, Uncle Jim may say, hey, you should go play at Michigan. And sure, your cousin's friend may say, you're too good, you should go here, you should go there. I mean, I've heard that before as well, but this is a decision that you need to make, and it needs to be, you know, kind of laced in some clear reasoning. I think that a lot of students think that ASU is just local, not understand that any college is a community all into itself.
That's true.
So,
That's
so,
true.
so sometimes, even though Alabama State is in Montgomery, it is a city all into itself. There's some people who never leave the campus because they have everything that they need. They have shopping, they have fast food, they have computer labs. So if you truly immerse yourself into what your plan is, there's very few times where you actually need to kind of leave there. So I guess because high school has kind of groomed us in a way where we go to this class at this time and right behind we go to the next class. We have a lot more freedom when it comes to college. You're going to, for the most part, pick your schedule, when you're going to go, when you're not going to go. So you have to be responsible, but you got to ask yourself, are you going for the experience or are you going for the education?
So
And for
we
some,
have a we have a comment. We have a comment from someone that says students need to understand that the culture of a school affects their success too, and don't fall for a brochure.
yes, it's very easy to fall for a brochure, but it's also easy to kind of get caught up in collegiate life. Again, when I attended ASU, we have a main yard where everything kind of happens. So nobody's going to make you go to class. You have to
Right.
decide to go to class yourself. So we would have a lot of parties and things going on class, and I would just look out the window and I would say, well, there's Keisha. She sure looks nice in her yellow dress. I should go outside and talk to her. But I had to have the maturity for myself to say, I need to be here right now. And
Right.
there was a lot of good times and partying things that kind of going on during the time. And a lot of people get caught up in that because, again, when I was there, the education was great, but a lot of people knew it from the fraternities and the parties and whatnot that you can have, and some people came just on the strength of that alone. But
Mhm.
again, the question is, what are you really trying to accomplish? What do you want, and what steps do you need to actually kind of get that? I knew from my modest background, and especially with the information of my mom being sick, I was the middle child. My older brother was a star football player in high school, and my younger brother, he was sick when he was born. My older brother had some issues, so he didn't really go to the NFL like he wanted to, not because of his lack of talent, but maybe he had some other things kind of going on. So I kind of felt I wanted to make my mother proud. And I knew that me just coming up here, playing around with the scholarship money that the people gave me, wasn't really going to do her justice. And with me worrying every day, okay, is she going to make it today? I wanted to see me graduate. I wanted to be able to walk in my graduation and those kind of things. They kind of broke the tie for me when I felt like not studying for the organic chemistry test that had 250 questions on it, and we had 2 weeks to study for. Those things kind of pushed me down the path of kind of staying on the path instead of not swaying because there was something that was pushing me. We all have different things that are going to push us and kind of head us down that direction. So the question is, what do you want to do, and what do you need to do to try to achieve that? So,
And that was going to be one of the questions. One of my questions to you was going to be, what is your why? But kind of giving me your why. Your why of why, what your why in what pushed you into succeeding in college and against everything else. So tell me, because you work with a lot of youth, right now, being in the capacity that you're in, what's your why now? What gives you the drive to continue to push, day in and day out to help you sometimes when they don't even want to be helped, when they don't see it in themselves?
definitely. Well, I would say one of the major things that kind of pushes me, and I always harken back on this when I get a little beat up, is me. Am I raising? There were a lot of days as I spoke about being homeless or being hungry or, needing this and needing that there was nobody there for me to talk to. There was no one around for me to reach out to. There was nobody I had enough belief in that I could say, well, hey, let me ask for this, or hey, let me ask for that. And as an adult now, I think about those times and I say, well, if there was only somebody I could have asked, or if there was only somebody who I believed in, or there was only somebody I could say, hey, I may not necessarily say, hey, I'm hungry, but I can just be around. And they knew me well enough to say, hey, you hungry? In fact, come with me, not because of me asking, but because of the relationship that we had, that they could actually kind of, know me well enough to kind of see, hey, this kid needs something to eat, or hey, this kid needs to talk or whatnot. Because a lot of times young people aren't going to be that forthcoming with that type of information. So I think about that, and I think about where I am, what I represent in terms of an African American male, and I think about how many people really need somebody to kind of talk to, and it goes over all races, because I think sometimes we are, stereotyped as being able to run faster and jump higher than some other people. But I think sometimes we can be viewed maybe in a lackluster role when it comes to education. So it's very important for me to be an example to students to say, hey, we can do this too. So what's the hardest subject that you can think of? Math. Okay, I do that. Not only do I do it, I want to make it look easy. But then I don't want to make it look easy and lose myself within it. I want to be my authentic self, show you my personality, be there for you. Yeah, I can laugh with you, but yeah, I'm going to give you an F too. Yeah, I love you, but I'll discipline you at the same time. I can give you a high five, or I can give you 5 problems for homework. And I try to show that dichotomy because that's a microcosm of the real world. I want to be somebody who the students can respect, who they can look up to, and who they can say, hey, if I need to talk to somebody, I don't want to talk to anybody, but I know I can talk to Mr. Stringer. Whether I want to or not, I know he's going to hear me out. And that's kind of what pushes me every single day, just to be somewhere where the students can kind of go and express themselves, and at least in their mind feel like somebody hears me out there, even though I don't want to say much.
And that's saying a lot. And so we talked about, we talked off, off behind the scenes, we talked off camera about realness. And it's funny that you mentioned, being someone that they can talk to, because, some of the things that, I do in my own mentoring program is just giving them someone to talk to. And it's funny because a lot of when parents see us with some of the children, even with parents at the school, they see us with some of the children, when what are they talking about? And, this and that. Sometimes these kids just really need someone to talk to that's not going to judge them, that's not going to, and you mentioned not talking to people, or not because, and and hiding certain things, even coming up in your background because you didn't want to be judged. And thank you for saying that, bringing that, because that's what it's all about. It's a level of transparency, and I've mentioned that in a couple of my shows before. I was the very same way. People didn't know what I was going through when I went up. When I was in high school. When I went to school in the morning, my mom she was going through a state of depression. When I went to school in the morning, my mom was in the bed asleep. When I came home from school, my mom was still in the bed asleep. We didn't have running water in our house. We were running electricity from my next door neighbor, but no one around me knew what we were going through because I was on the A honor roll every 6 weeks. In Texas, we had 6 weeks. I was on the A honor roll every 6 weeks. I was a star athlete. I was a runner. People called me Speedy Gonzalez. No one knew what I was going through because they saw the things that I was doing. They never stopped to talk to me about what I was actually going through. Why are you, this, or what's going on? No one realized, and we can mask things so well because we don't want to be judged. We are, mixing and matching clothes and doing everything that we can to keep people from, seeing what we're really going through, but we're trying to make it out. Those very same things that they do shape you, and you want somebody to ask you, do you need something to eat? Because I will go all day, and then the only time I ate was at school, but nobody knew that. Nobody knew, the thing. And how many kids do we have going through that right now? Because that's happening in our cities right now. And
Definitely.
it's easy for me to spot a problem with a child because I used to be in that same state. But because they're such a great athlete, or because they're doing so well in school, that thing gets looked over. They're doing so good on the football field, or they're doing so good in track, and their grades are good. Now, it doesn't work that way for everyone, because sometimes with some students, it affects their grades. But then you have some that, maybe they want to make it out so bad that they have to. They have to make the grade. They have to be that star athlete because they feel like I gotta save my family. You know, but
Mhm.
if we can't be real, and this goes back to the realness that we were talking about with what we've gone through as parents, now we're not gonna not glorifying, our past or even some of the things that we done that we knew we shouldn't have done and some of the trouble that we got in, but being real with our children enough to tell them, yeah, I did this and I did that, and I'm not glorifying that I did it because it could have went another way, but I'm telling you because I don't want you to go through the same thing. I often use, like, people that are saved, like the saints, for people in the church. We can be saved so long that we forget when we weren't saved the things that we did. But our kids need to hear that thing right now, that we hadn't always been in the position that we're in. I came from this and I did do this, but this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I know what you're dealing with, maybe not everything, because I had to deal with it too. If we don't tell them, if we don't talk to them, if we don't get a grip, if we're not open enough and real enough with our own, then those dope boys are going to be real. Those other, this and gangs are still, relevant right now. It may not be as, talked about as much, but in other cities, gangs are still relevant and prevalent. The dope boys gonna talk to them, the gang members gonna talk to them, Real Housewives and or Love and Hip Hop, they gonna talk to them because everybody want that microwave. YouTube gonna talk to them, and everybody want to be an influencer. We want them to do better, but are we talking to them enough to change their perception?
Yeah, I agree, and it's not just for the actually young people, because I can say that the experiences that I've had kind of growing up, even as a man right now at the age of 41, those things have shaped me to the point where I'm still not as forthcoming as I would like to be. I'm not as honest with myself sometimes as I like to be. And I always like to use the expression as tears from of a clown, I would say. I didn't smile much when I was a younger boy because I was always in deep thought. I was always trying to figure something out. I was always trying to, find a way. And now I was able to put on a fake smile because just to kind of mention about the eating part. And this is kind of speaks to why one person can kind of make a difference. There was one young man. I just give his initials. They were RB. I love you, RB. R rest in heaven. But he would always invite me over his house. And for those viewers that are old enough to know about Eddie Haskell, I used to have my Eddie Haskell routine. I would go into his house. I was like, "Wow, Mrs. Barlow, is that meatloaf you're cooking? It smells wonderful." And she would say, "Well, baby, would you like to stay for dinner?" And of course, my stomach is creaking and I'm dying. And I would say, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am. No, I couldn't do that. You got too many kids to feed and whatnot." In my mind, I'm like, "Please ask me one more time." And she would say, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Well, if you want me to stay, I'll stay." In my mind, I was, "Please ask me again." And my friend would say, "Hey, we're cooking this tonight, or my mom's going to make this tonight. Come on over and see." And we're going to go on their face. We're supposed to be doing homework or whatnot, but we're going to sit in the living room. So that young man really kind of helped me out right there. But when I think about who I am now, again, at the age of 41, a lot of that kind of still follows me. The tears of a clown, again, is a great expression because now when you see me, more times now no smile. And it's genuine because I find value and hope in being able to kind of listen to other people's problem and to kind of help them out. But I will say that it's hard for me to mask my pain and my discomfort. So it's kind of a all or nothing kind of thing. So when people see me, they can look at me and be like, "What's wrong with you? Or what you got going on?" Because I'm not wearing, even the students, because young people are very wise. They can kind of see, "Oh, what's wrong with Mr. Stringer?" If I'm not,
It's very
jumping off the
intuitive.
wall or I'm not as animated as I usually am, they kind of come to me. So I try not to show them when I'm going through something. But again, we're all human. And when I'm going through those things, I'm not the most forthcoming. I don't share what I got going on and whatnot. I try to bottle it all in, and it's not the best thing. But again, it just speaks to how even today, with all the good I try to do and all the things I want to help people with, I mean, I need help myself as well. And that's important to kind of, acknowledge, and for me to try to seek, ways that I can kind of, take care of people as well as myself, because I can't do too much for people when I burn myself out, when I'm, too concerned about my own things going on. I do a good job of masking my own pain and concerning myself with other people when people are around. But the question is, when I'm by myself and I'm collected to my own thoughts, that's when you get a true idea of where you are and how you feel. So,
And the fact that you are open enough and transparent enough to say that is everything, because someone else needs to hear that. And that's what Unmuted is all about. Um, Not saying that we have it all together. Not saying that you have the picture perfect life, because life happens to all of us, and life is going to happen as long as we are living life. But being able to admit, even within ourselves, you know what, I'm not feeling it today. This is not the best. And I'm okay with myself enough now to say that I'm not okay. I don't have it all together. I'm trying. That's lifting a burden off of you, but that's helping someone else at the same time. Because when you can see it and recognize it, even in yourself, you can see it in someone else. Like you mentioned about the students, the good students can tell. Yeah, because they're very intuitive. And that goes back to, when we were talking about realness. They want real. So when they have someone that's real, present company, in their lives, then when something is a little bit off, because they know you and they've gotten to know you and what you're bringing to the table, the asset that you're bringing to the table, they get that. They're used to that, and they know fake. They know real.
they
They
definitely know
kids know,
fate.
yeah, kids know fake. You can try to throw it over their head if you really. They may not say it to you, but they know fake, and they know real, and that's what it's all about. But that's a part of Black Man Thrive. It's not saying that you got it all together. It's not saying that your life is perfect and you don't have any issues, but it is saying, I'm not where I used to be. I overcame some of the things that I have gone through, and I'm here now. I'm pushing for something else. But in the midst of all of my it's, all of my somethings, all of my things, I'm willing to help someone else get through the very same things that I've already gone through. That's unmuting. That's what you've done. You've unmuted yourself for the greater good of someone else. Because when we hold on to the things that we've gone through, we're being selfish. We're being selfish because it's meant for us to help someone else. As educators, as parents, as coaches, as whatever we are, as counselors, as principals, as presidents, that's what we're supposed to do. We're all supposed. It's a everybody thing. Because if no one ever helps anybody, how is anybody going to get there?
I
So,
agree. I definitely agree. I just feel obligated to try to pull some of these young men along, because I'm very, which is going to sound great, but I'm a very quiet person. I resolve myself and my thoughts a lot, and I think about where we are as a people, where we're going, and where we came from, and I try to think about what's different between 20 years ago and maybe what will be different 20 years from now, and are we on that path? And the music is a big thing to me.
mhm.
So in my bevy of other things, I was an aspiring music artist at the tender age of 19. I had a deal on the table. I had a chance to maybe do some other things. And I share this story with all my students all the time. I had a meeting where I met with a gentleman, and he told me after he took a pen and he stuck it into his thumb, he signed his name in blood. And he said, if you sign your soul over to me, I could make you a millionaire in 2 years. Now I didn't understand the dynamics of the situation and whatnot, but I know something wasn't right with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was portraying, I was pseudo thugged out. I really wasn't that, but I was able to be in enough circles where I would like to. As I told people, I was thug adjacent. I wasn't in the middle of it, but I saw the shells hit the ground and whatnot. So I didn't want to, lose face in front of these guys. So when he asked me to sign, I said what any reputable tough guy would say in a moment like that. I need to use the restroom. So I got up and I walked down the hallway to use the restroom, and I splashed water on my face, and I ran out of that building as fast as I could.
And that was the smartest decision you made.
I don't know why I left, but I just knew that something wasn't right with that. And I say that to fast forward to right now. The music is such a big part of this generation's whole thing. They got the earbuds in all day. They walking around singing those lyrics all day. And I asked them, which is kind of hard, and I don't want to get too deep into incantations and spells and how the music kind of speaks to their, unconscious brain and makes them do a lot of stuff that they have no idea of what they're doing. And what I asked the students is, you think they talking to you? You think some 25, 27-year-old man made a song and he said, man, I hope some 15-year-old guy in high school picked this up and listened to it. He's not making it for you. You're trying to make it your own. You're trying to be what they're talking about, yet he's not aiming at you. You're just getting some residuals from that. And that's important to me because I said that if it's not made for you, yet you're trying to make it your own, aren't you really stealing? Because it's not yours and ain't got your name on it. And they can sing every word. They know all the harmonies. And then I say, well, name the hottest people out right now. They'll tell me. I said, well, name one song that doesn't talk about drug use, violence, premarital sex, or complete nonsensory. And they pause. And what they say is, well, you can't make a good song unless you talk about that. That's when I come in. I may, give them a little something just to show it is possible, because my students will tell you I got more bars in the Kit Kat factory. So I'll give it to them. And sometimes when they want that, I try to use it as a tool, because if you don't want to listen to the academic side of Mr. Stringer, well, let me show you some of this old stuff. And while you listening, let me see if I can slide some common sense into that. So whatever tool that it takes out of my toolbox to kind of reach my will. And I'll say a lot of times that's what I have to kind of do. So when I'm doing the x squared minus 7x plus 3 equals 0, and I'm telling them the factor, they're looking at me like, who cares about this? Then I can say, I know you're over there bored, but watch me do it on the board. Say you want to, so I'll change it to them. Then they look at me like, hey, you can't teach math and be able to speak that language at the same time. So that weird dichotomy shows them that you don't have to pick this or that. You can kind of be a combination, because everybody's kind of molding to their own framework. And the more and more I let students peek into who I really am. They say, you know what? I want to watch this show again, because this man here is something crazy. And I try to use that, the gifts that God gave me for good and not for evil. Because there was sometimes when I use my math skills to not maybe be so positive in. Maybe I've counted some cards sometimes in some places, or, uses my math skills to, give a guy 50, ask for change for a 20, give him back another 20. He actually gave me $80 and I gave him $10. So I was quick, and I haven't always used his gifts for the most positive thing.
Well, we're glad you got on the right track. We're glad you got on the right track.
I was on the right track, but I was on the wrong train. But now I'm here.
Well, as long as you're on the right track and the right train right now, we appreciate that. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you for tuning for your yes tonight, because I told you this was needed. And I meant that. And I know you think sometimes, okay, Pat, if you're talking. But seriously, though, this was needed. So I want to really thank you for, coming on tonight and sharing your heart, because, this was a lot that, we touched a lot of bases tonight. We covered a lot of ground. And I hope this helped you just to, release some of it just as much as it helped me, and it may help others that, are watching. We have several comments One of the people in the comments said, there is no story without a storm. I absolutely believe that. So our storms turned into our, our story, and we're here to, we're here at the same time because we had a lot of the same children. We got a lot of the same children, but that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here to do. So letting our lives, help someone else's life in whatever capacity that it is, and using the tools. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing. Now look, I need to do my little summary, but I'm gonna put you in queue. Don't leave, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, you guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Unmuted. This was our season 3, episode number 7 of the Black Men Thrive series. I want to thank you all so much. I really hope that you all got something out of tonight's segment, tonight's episode. I usually like to take different if you saw me, you probably saw that I was, taking some notes. I like to take little tidbits from what our guests often say, and go back and do a summary. One of the things that Mr. Stringer mentioned was he felt that he was going to be judged. How many times have we held things in because we felt that someone would judge us because maybe we were not what they thought or what their perception of us would be? And that stifles, that often mutes a person. I've been in that predicament, in that stage of life myself. Feeling judged because people will hold you to a certain standard or their own perception of that, what they want you to be or what they think you should be, and that can leave you feeling judged and really feeling muted. And we want to make sure that we're not throwing that onto other people. So let's really be mindful of that. Let's also be mindful of how we talk to people, how we look at people, because we never know what a person is going through in the moment. We never know what a person has gone through in their past to shape them the way that they are now. We don't know everyone's story. And even when a person tell you their story, you don't always know every detail because people will tell you what they want you to know. And sometimes people don't talk to you if they feel like you're not going to be a safe place or safe space. So even in that, and I want to add something to that as well, be that individual that others know that they can confide in, that others know that they can talk to. Even if it's not a lot of people, be that for someone. Our children and even our men and our women, they want realness today. They need realness. We all want someone to be real with us, that we can relate to, that we can talk to, someone we can talk to, someone we can be real with, even if you're not talking back. Just being able to be there and to be a listening ear. Not just listening, but actually hearing. Um, he mentioned something that I wrote down. He said that if it's not made for you, why are you making it for you or trying to make it your own? Aren't you stealing? If it's not made for you, yet you're making it your own, aren't you stealing? When people are talking and telling their story, maybe that's not meant for us. Don't engulf that. Don't think that everyone is targeting you. Now, he was talking about music, but a lot of times we as people, we do that. We see something on Facebook or Instagram or someone says something and we think that they're talking about us. People are not always talking about you. So don't make it your own. You don't have to make it your own. And then as far as what he was saying about the music, let their story be their story. We don't have to steal their story because life happens to us all. We all have our own story. Let's live out our lives the best way we possibly can so we can help someone else through their lives and the issues that they have going on. And the last thing that I want to mention that he said was there is value in hope. There is hope. There is help. there are resources. If you feel that you are going through any particular situation in your life, please find someone to talk to. Please find someone to talk to. So there are resources. If you feel like you're going through a state of depression, if you feel like you are feeling suicidal, if you feel like you're having some kind of anxieties, if you feel like you are just not yourself, but you don't know what is going on, you are not okay, let's please find someone to talk to. There are plenty of resources out there. You can Google suicide prevention. You can Google depression. You can Google. I have several different resources. As a matter of fact, I'll make sure I come back and I'll pin some of those resources in the comments, so that if you want to come back and watch the replay, you can. I'll make sure that I put those resources also when we upload to YouTube. This episode will be also uploaded to YouTube as well as our previous episodes. Also, you can check out our podcast. I'll make sure that I upload when we upload, we'll link the resources. Please find someone to talk to. People are going through in several different ways. Let's be there for someone else. And if you feel that you can't help someone else, find someone that can. It is up to us. This is a we thing. It is a we problem. It is meant for us to help each other, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whatever the case may be. Let's all reach one, teach one. Each one of us can help someone. I want to thank you all for tuning in to season 3, episode number 7 of Unmuted, the Black Man Thrive series. I want to thank our special guest, Mr. Arnold Stringer, for being on tonight. You all, please be safe. Please stay safe. Take care of yourself. You can catch this episode on the replay on Facebook Live. You'll probably catch it on my personal page. Go follow the Unmuted page. You can also find us on YouTube on Unmuted. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I think that's how they say it. And the Unmuted podcast. Check out the Unmuted podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, one of those. But the Unmuted has a podcast. We are here 7 o'clock. Central Standard Time on Sundays for new live episodes. We will, again, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday, the same time, same station. You all be safe, be blessed, and have a safe and wonderful night.